Hello, friends. I'm Cindy Palm, the lay leader here at the historic First United Methodist Church in downtown Elgin, Illinois, and this is another motivational moment from the Bible. Let me ask you, have you ever gone to a store or a restaurant and the person behind the counter or the person waiting on your table clearly doesn't want to be there? It's not that they're necessarily doing anything wrong. They just aren't engaged and are kind of making you feel like you're a huge burden. I'm sure we've all had that experience. I once had a United Airlines gate agent threaten to call security on me because I asked her how to get to the parking deck. In a snotty tone, she said she wasn't the information desk. I said, well, yeah, but I thought maybe since you worked here, you might be able to at least point me in the right direction. And that's when she called security if I didn't back off. And the funny part about this story is that I'm not leaving any part of it out. It's not like I'm failing to tell you that I had a meltdown and threatened her, because I didn't. I'm literally telling you this story exactly as it happened. So what do you think my feelings are about United Airlines? Well, let's just say this happened many years ago and all my frequent flyer miles are on American. Here's the thing about service. When you get good service, it can be practically transparent. But when you get bad service, it's glaringly obvious. And what do you usually do afterwards? You tell somebody. Maybe you tell a lot of bodies. Bad customer service not only reflects poorly on the person, it more importantly reflects poorly on the brand, meaning the store, the restaurant, or the airline. We certainly don't want to patronize that establishment again, and we do everything we can to make sure no one else does either. In yesterday's sermon, we talked about service, and there is certainly no shortage of references to how we can serve one another in the Bible. I mentioned Matthew 25, the scripture that tells us that service to others is the same as serving the Lord. And we talked about how Jesus washed his disciples' feet, an act of incredible humility by the Son of God. But there is another story about service that I saved for today, and that's the story of the Good Samaritan. Remember, this is the story of a man who was robbed and beaten and left dying along the side of the road. Priest passes him and doesn't stop. A Levite passes him, doesn't stop. But along comes a Samaritan, a sworn enemy of this dying man, the last person you'd expect to stop. And lo and behold, he not only stops to help the man, but he takes him to the next town and pays an innkeeper to nurse him back to health. What? I mean, it's a great story, right? But here's the catch. Jesus is telling us that we have to serve even the people we don't like. Maybe even more so. Yeah, I know, right? Like the people in the park. Like the people on the other side of the aisle. You know what aisle I'm talking about. Yeah, that aisle. Or the neighbor or coworker that seems to intentionally get on your last raw nerve. Look, I know it's hard. And I think that's intentional in a God's trying to teach you something here kind of way. But if we don't serve these people, if we don't be the embodiment of Christ, what kind of message do you think that sends? If we can't be bothered, if it makes us uncomfortable, if we always need to be right, if we maybe enjoy the fight, what does that say about us? And in turn, what does it say about Christ? I mentioned in the sermon yesterday that word on the street is that the church is seen as becoming increasingly more irrelevant and that our perceived hypocrisy is preceding us. It's just like customer service. When it's bad, you have a tendency to want to tell everyone. And that's what's happening in our world today. And they are speaking louder than we are. Last week, I told a random stranger on Twitter that not all Christians were like that. He responded back, "Then where is your voice?" Last week, Pastor Don spoke about being speechless. Speaking up, taking action, being the hands, feet, and voice of Christ, showing the world what the embodiment of Jesus actually looks like, is how we change that perception. That's our job. And to be honest, Christ has only given us one job. So get up, get dressed, because it's time to go to work. This is your motivational moment from the Bible. Have a great day.